Welcome to DCS Mi-8 MTV2 Startup Training. I am Top Gun with the AKA War Dog Squadron, and I'll be working off of my checklist version 1.4. To start off with, you want to make sure that all windows and doors in the aircraft are closed. Right now, at this date, the only thing that's open in a new aircraft is the left blister window, so you want to go ahead and close that. You'll want to key map this one in particular out of all the other doors and windows in the aircraft, because if you're going to be doing things like sling loading later on, there's a new function that's in the sim. I think it's called view sling load, and what'll happen is when you hit that, the pilot will automatically open this left blister window. He'll stick his head out the window, and you can you'll be viewing straight down below your aircraft, and you'll be looking at your cargo beneath you. And when you turn that view off, you'll be back to what you see right now, but he will not automatically close the left blister window. So they kind of left that out, I guess. So you'll want to have that one key mapped just so you can easily close it again later. So let's go ahead and continue, and we're going to be jumping back and forth between all three positions in this aircraft. This is one of the few aircraft where you actually have to do that in order to do a full cold start. So the pilot's position is the left, the co-pilot is on the right, and the flight engineer technician is in the middle. And we'll go ahead and do the rotor brake, and only the pilot has the rotor brake down here in the floor. The co-pilot doesn't have one. I'll go switch to the technician's seat. We'll do the middle and right circuit breakers, 3 sets each. And normally you do anything electrical from the co-pilot station, but my track IR has a little bit of difficulty looking up that high, so I'll do it from the technician's seat. But we've got batteries 1 and 2. Then we've got the 115 volt inverter and the 36 volt inverter. Let's go ahead and do the exterior lighting. Got nav lights, formation, blade tip, and anti-collision. Turn on your fire detection. Make sure the warning's off. Turn on the fuel shutoff valves. Put the guards back down, and then fuel pumps 1, 2, and 3, and then go ahead and start up the APU. Put the APU switch up into start mode, and then hit the start button. You'll have to press and hold this for a couple seconds. And you can watch the APU spool up on these gauges. Alright, started. Let's go ahead and get clearance from ATC. So verify that your radio panel is set to radio and in the down position for the AM frequency. And we'll switch back to the tech seat, and we'll put in the frequency for this airfield. I'm at Seneca, so it's 132. 000. Let's bring up the communications menu, and then F1 for your airfield or FARP, whatever the case may be, and then request startup.
Call key in field 1-1. Request startup. Field 1-1. Call key cleared for startup.
Okay, so now that we can go ahead with the engine start, we'll select the left engine, hit the switch into start mode, which is the up position, and then press and hold this button here until you see this light up. And then go ahead and look over your head and turn on the fuel flow for the left engine. And just as an aside, it doesn't really matter which engine you start first. Actually, in real life, you always want to start the downwind engine first. So if the wind's coming from the left, you'll actually be starting the right engine and then the left after that. But there's really not much of any wind at the moment, so I just always start with the left in that case. And you can monitor the engine startup sequence, just viewing the RPMs and the engine temperatures. Once it's stabilized, which is going to be around 40 to 50, you can go ahead and start the other engine. So I'll go ahead and switch this over to right engine, leave it in start mode, and press and hold the button again. And go ahead and turn on the fuel for that engine. See, we've got good light. RPMs are increasing. Okay, now that the engines are up and idling, we can go ahead and throttle up. Now, this is supposed to be clickable in the cockpit, but it doesn't appear to be. So you'll need to keybind this, but you want to go ahead and rotate this counterclockwise all the way until you see maximum. And we'll switch back over to co-pilot seat. If you need to at this point, you can go ahead and turn on your engine dust protection switches left and right. Since we're at a paved airfield, we don't need to do that. Let's go ahead and turn on generators 1 and 2. And then we need to turn on rectifiers 1, 2, and 3. Now we move on to the right triangle panel. We've got a couple of switches here that we need to hit. So we've got the Doppler navigation, JDRO, GMC, and the right attitude indicator. And while we're over here, we can go ahead and do countermeasures. So turn system on. And if you want, you can adjust the programming, but that'll be a future training course regarding countermeasures. And at this point, we can go ahead and stop the APU, so we can hit the kill switch. And then we move back to the pilot seat, and now we'll do the left triangle panel. So we've got the left attitude indicator, and VK53 gyro power, the audio warning system, and the pitch limit system. And we've got radar altimeter, and this will take maybe about a minute or so to warm up. You'll hear the warning sound chime once it's done. And we can also set our minimum altitude. Just click and hold on this button, and you can move the caret up and down. And then go ahead and turn on your autopilot pitch roll channel. So the autopilot panel is down here in the middle. So this one should always be on. You can also do heading and altitude autopilot channels as you're flying later, but generally speaking, you should always have this middle one on. And if you're flying at dusk or at night, you can also turn on your taxi light. And if it's rather cold, you can also mess with your anti-icing system if need be. You've got left and right and you've got the system set to auto or manual. It's set to auto by default. At this point, you can release your parking brake, and you can taxi as need be. Let's go ahead and contact ATC.
Colkey, infield 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Infield 1-1. Colkey, clear to taxi to runway 9.
And since this aircraft does actually have wheels instead of skids, you can actually taxi around as need be, unlike the UH-1 and the Gazelle. At this point, you're good to go. You're all set to take off. Now, if you want to reduce your workload when you're going on to a combat mission, you can do a couple more steps here prior to taking off that'll make your life easier later. You've got this left bank of circuit breakers. These are what control the weapons. And then you actually have the weapon system, power to the weapon system, to the RSGV selector switch. Put that up to on, and then press and hold the POS arming button, which you don't really have any visual on what it does, but that's all you need to do there. And then from there, if you want to finish arming the weapons, you can't hardly look up there with the pilot seat. You've got the master arm in the ceiling right here. At this point, you're good to go. You can see that the radar altimeter is all set, and you are set to take off. As usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Hope this helped. Thank you very much.